Bonjour, bienvenue und herzlich willkommen pour notre prochaine représentation Chansons dansées au hologramme. Pour le programme, nous avons Brel de Ben van Cauwenbergh, une très connue chorégraphe flamande, Morgann Runacre-Temple, elle est une chorégraphe anglaise, et Carlos Prado, qui est le stager, je ne sais pas en français, mais tu fais... répétiteur pour Cantata. C'est une pièce chorégraphiée par Mauro Bigonzotti. Et dans la première représentation, Carlos était une danseuse que Mauro créé. Et nous parlerons un peu de cette chanson dansée. Bienvenue. I'm very happy that you three are here. Today was very exciting because we had the first run and the first time that actually we all saw our pieces. It's about, chansons dansées, it's about chansons. And we have the chansons de Brel, we have chansons de Barbara, and cantata is like Sicilian chansons, no? Sicilian...
South of Italy songs.
South of Italy. Napoli, more Napoli, sorry. And Ben, this piece was already here, the Brel, but I know you have done it a few times. There are a few versions, like short, medium, long. We have now, I think, the medium version with the Brel.
Yeah, that's correct. We have actually a full-length evening with Jacques Brel, which is called La Vie en Rose, and it's with songs of Gilbert Bécaud and Piaf. And Jacques Brel is the last part of the evening, so it's nice to bring it back here, especially in a French-speaking country. And I'm also happy that you invited me. I think the soirée is gonna be très beau because it's very different. There are three different amazing pieces, and that's what we want in this evening. That we have, because these triple bills are there for a reason, you know, to have really three different pieces. And the Jacques Brel is, for me, it's still a way to bring classical vocabulary on stage with not thinking of Swan Lake or whatever, but still using a classical, really perfect dancer, which is working here in the company very well. I was very impressed this morning with the work they did. Yeah.
Brel, c'est en pointe et c'est très virtuose. Morgann, c'est un peu moderne et ça, c'est une chose très extatique. No? But back to the Brel, is there songs from Brel that you still feel you would love to do one day, or vice versa? Is there a song of Brel that you like so much that you never would choreograph on because it was so impressive to you? Or are you done with Brel now? Is this what you have to say to Brel?
Well, there's this one song I regret, maybe I didn't do it, and that's Marieke, because Marieke it's the name of my daughter. Oh. And I should have actually choreographed that. But she was not born yet when I choreographed.
So you didn't know, but the song was already born.
Yeah, the song was born, yeah. Yeah, and I think, of course, we all know Les Bourgeois. It's very famous in the male soloist world. They're all dancing it everywhere, which I don't know sometimes, where I'm very upset about. But for me, Amsterdam is this strong men's part I like very much. Yeah, but Marieke is maybe one day. When you invite me again,
maybe it comes back, and then we have Marieke. And now we have a ballet mistress that's called Marieke. Yeah. So
really?
You have a daughter. Yeah. But also, like your choreography is very it uses. I'm sorry to say, but it uses tricks like pas de deux tricks and technical tricks. And I know that your family is very known for that. Could you do them all yourself, or do you invented them with the dancers together, or is this just you see, my God, and then you fly and then you do this flip, and then, I mean...
Well, it's a little bit in my background that we worked with choreographers like Valery Panov, and that we'll start to be very interested in these special lifts. But I got a little bit away from it because it starts to be then circus, and I didn't want that very much. But I started to try to invent different lifts which don't look so circus but still look special. And that's what I still want to try now, to get with your dancers, still to get it a bit more smoother, everything, that it doesn't look like they are working behind the girl, the boys. They are really working still, and it should be more fluent, so it doesn't look tricks. I don't want to use that word, tricks, actually.
Yeah, that's why I was also a bit careful. Because when I still remember when I was in the ballet school and when we had pas de deux, there was always the teacher said like, and the man is there to make the woman look good.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Beautiful. That was like sort of the circumstances of the man. And then he said like, and if once the woman falls or slips, the man has to be faster and lie on the floor first, that at least she falls soft. Yeah. But with your tricks, I think it's impossible. No? If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Both are on the floor, no?
The boys are. It's a suitor, you know. He needs to be there to make her look good. And I remember when I was doing, I put a lot of word on pas de deux work because I want the girl to look good. Yeah. But I was always kaput before starting my solo. No?
Yeah.
But it's very nice. I think it's very nice when the girl is beautiful, but you can still look at the man, and the man looks good also.
Yeah,
because it doesn't work if the woman is beautiful and the man
he needs to follow
is around there like
no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And have you ever thought of doing songs from Barbara? Or were you just so stuck with Brel?
I like to choreograph on chansons. Yeah, I like it. And you don't need to understand, I mean, especially with Brel, you don't need to understand what he's singing, I find. Because it comes, I mean, if you see him, how he's using his hands and all that, you know. So Piaf, how they are singing in front of this microphone, if we get that on stage, that's the aim. No?
Yeah. And also sometimes with Barbara, sometimes they don't do like in the let's say in the music industry, like when they have all this like Michael Jackson, they had like the dance groups behind us. They were still there singing, concentrated, and just delivering the text and the music, and it would got, you know, they didn't need it so much, this kind of choreography.
There was no television, so they went to the concerts and they looked how they were performing.
Yeah. How was your approach, Morgann? It's nice to have you because it's the first time you're creating in France, no?
Yes, it's the first time creating in France, and I mean, for me, it's really exciting to be, you know, and also scary to do a premiere with, you know, two very established pieces that I've, you know, known of for many years, and so it's always kind of nerve-wracking to kind of create something new. But I also, you know, it feels very, it's quite inspiring, this idea of that, you know, these are all songs, and I don't know, all of that kind of together, like you've got the personality of the music kind of coming through. For me, the music of Barbara and how I approached it and chose the songs, because they're kind of, some of them are like, they're all extremely intense and poetic, and her I was reading a lot about how sometimes people would go to her concerts and often they would go by themselves, and it would be this kind of form of like, and for her as well when she sang, because she had a very challenging life, but through her singing, she said that this is what helped her live and what helped her survive, and she lived for her audience, and this idea of like music is a kind of, and singing is like a therapeutic, you know, sharing music is something that's therapeutic, and it helps us to kind of understand our own lives and what's happened, and I think I really like this idea that it's almost like we can connect to our emotions through listening to music, and she helped people connect to difficult parts of their emotions, and so, but a lot of her music I found was like there's something quite beautifully sort of childlike about it, and also nostalgic, and I just, there's one song which she composed, which she sang called Solitude, which I was going to use and I didn't. And she writes quite a lot about like being alone and reflecting and remembering things that have happened in the past and remembering people that she lost or lovers that were waiting to come back. And so I was thinking of this idea of like remembering and waiting and dreaming of love that has lost, or and this sense of like longing and kind of, yeah, so that was like this idea, I was approaching it, this idea of a group of people almost remembering things that have happened, but they're alone. So like they're alone with their memories. And some of her songs, like I use one song in it, Nantes, which really tells a story, and it goes, you know, from the beginning, and it tells this incredibly sad story of Barbara trying to find her father, and she goes to Nantes, and then when she finally gets there, she hasn't heard from her father for years and years and years. When she finally gets there, her father has died. But the story is really kind of linear, and I felt like I really didn't want to kind of narrate this story because for me it doesn't feel like, you know, Barbara is already doing this, and it doesn't feel like the dance is always, you know, it can narrate a story, but like maybe it can also kind of take us into a slightly more emotional or abstract space. So I like this idea that the dance can kind of just connect to the emotion of her songs, and kind of like what Ben was saying, like you don't need to understand them rationally so much. You can get the feeling or emotion of it, and then the dance can kind of take it somewhere else, perhaps.
Also, what I found interesting, maybe this is now a question to you, is because we are sitting at the table that are actually from your part, because it's like the Brel takes part in a cafe, bistro, and you create a little home with a chair, if I may already tell to our audience, but they will all come and gonna see it. But you have more created an intimate room, and you're more in a public room, and this, I think, Mauro, it's a square, no? So we have not only 3 different kind of chansons, but also 3 different kind of setups, which I think it's interesting.
Basically, everybody is telling a story out of that room. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I think all of the 3 pieces speak very clearly about what is human and how you can relate with that. And because it doesn't tell a story, this is the beautiful thing. Each person who watches the performance can see his own story or his own reflection of what he's watching. And not so much as the story that this happened and then that happened, and because of these, it's much larger, and I think it's really related to all of the 3 pieces about the human. There's nothing more human than dance, I find, because it's such a profound, it can go to, I think, even more than theater in a way.
Talking without words?
Yes, so that you can relate I'm sure that each one of the audience that is watching the performance will see different things and will relate, but still go to a place, an emotional place where you can laugh and cry and all that we all do.
I think also we were talking before, and I think because you have done the Brel, I guess, also in several countries now, and this is brand new. We don't know how many countries will show Barbara, but you have been with Cantata into many countries, yes. And everybody understands it now, yes. Because this is the strong part always that I found about ballet. We can communicate with our bodies, and we don't need to actually speak a language. Even when the words in the chanson speak a language, but I think it's about emotion and it's about relationships, and I think this works in every country, no? And this is the strong force also about dance.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is beautiful.
We don't need subtitles.
Yes.
No, we don't.
Or shouldn't do, at least, hopefully.
No, and I guess with the I truly also believe that the Barbara songs are, because we are in France, she is so known that I guess most of the songs are known. Also Brel, even when he's not French, you know, so...
I was very worried for Germany, because who knows Brel, but they know everybody knows him. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And Cantata is only because, that's the interesting part, because you didn't create it, it was Mauro Bigonzatti, but you were in the original creation.
Yes.
So when he made it, I mean, this energy is now, the piece has also some years already, and it was already, it's the third time now that it comes back in Capitole here in Toulouse. But it is, I guess also it has developed, no? How is it, if you have been in a creation and now you have to teach to other dancers, they have other possibilities these days, no?
Yes.
Dances are totally different, and also I guess when you created it, it was still different.
Different approach, yeah.
Different approach. So how is it now to teach it to a different generation? Are you changing for the people, or are you...
No, I don't change anything, but I must say that like the part I did, that was created on me, was the trio, the first man of the trio, and I do find that in general, more we do, better it gets.
Oh, really?
Yes. My experience with the next generation that did, and the next, and the next, and the next, and that, the choreography is still the same, but somehow it gets better, because the layers of knowledge into that step, it's the same step, but kind of grows.
Oh,
that's
right.
my feeling, at least.
Yeah.
I think it's important also in the three pieces to make the right casting, and that's why we also come first to see the company, and that you put everywhere in the right place, you know. And that's, of course, it happens a lot of times that three of us want the same dancers.
And this is my nightmare.
It's the more common.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to work with the same dancers, and then we have no
But
time
I
for the
think
rehearsal.
we got out of it.
Yeah. I think we found a very good balance. Still, the company, everybody is dancing, everybody is on stage. We have two casts. Almost everybody arrives with the second cast on stage. And what is really nice is that also, not that only I feel the music is so different, but also that the physicality and the dancing is so different, you know. So that really, when I saw now the first run, I saw the dancers in Cantata, and I just imagined, they just have half an hour ago. They did well on point, and then now
it's a tough evening for
hair open, and bam, here we go. And then they had all your movements that are so delicate, and that you don't want to miss one. And it's so it's three so different languages, but also musically, so it's nice. That was also like what I tried to find. That was the colors, the three colors I want to find and present to our audience and our dancers, of course. No,
they do very good. I find,
and also
because it's not an easy evening, you know, because it's.
You have to
it's quite challenging physically, even.
But if I may say, this is also what the dancers want.
Yes, of
they
course,
want to dance, they want these challenges.
Of course,
you know, like, also you have, even on your last song, you have put the points on, you know, so it's like, and I know this is not usually your way of choreographing, but sort of like...
Sometimes, depends on the dancer as well, actually, I think. Sometimes I feel like, if it feels sort of like you're working on an idea and the movement I think it makes sense to work on point. And sometimes some dancers just very naturally, it's like their body organizes themselves into point shoes, and like the way, you know, that's how they express as well, that they express themselves in that way.
Well, it's a nice contrast. I find it's a nice contrast.
So it's not like to decide, am I working with point shoes or am I working or not? It's like, you know, what happens with the movement? Who is the dancer? How do they express? Yeah.
And of course, Brel, as we all know, he's not with us anymore. Barbara's not with us. But in Cantata, we will have Assurt on stage.
Yes.
And they are there from the beginning. They are from basically from the first show.
Yes.
All over the world, wherever this piece goes, they come.
Yes, they come, and they are absolutely wonderful. And it's really something special for the dancers, for the public also, of course. But it creates some kind of atmosphere very special. And the dancers always, after they work with them in some rehearsals, it flips the piece.
Because also they are part of the piece, no? They are not just like normally in orchestra that it's
no. They are inside, they are on stage.
They are integrated.
They
interact?
Interact, yes, thank interact with the dancers and so, yeah, and they are very alive. So the dancers will feel this, of course, and so it creates something special among these not dancers and singers, but with this group of people, of men and women, like. So this is special.
And also, like maybe for Elias around somehow, the costumes you designed them together with, because we talked about.
I wanted to have it very schlicht, how you say, very simple, everything, and just.
But still comfortable for the girls and for all these lifts.
I just had the idea to make from dresses trousers, because with the lifts everything is coming up, and we don't really want to. Yeah. I find this distracting too much, so that's the idea, to have kind of trousers but look like dresses for the girls. Yeah.
And you have chosen Louise Flanagan for your costumes, which are created also by our workshops. So, and she gives it a today's look, I would say, no?
We actually looked a lot at Barbara's, what she would wear, and she would always wear black often, and you know, these kind of really beautiful silhouettes, but often as well something kind of quite flamboyant, like she'd have sort of feathers or like sequins. So we had this idea almost earlier on that like each person is a kind of iteration or like a version of Barbara, and so that's it, you know, the men, the women, everyone is like their own Barbara self. So that's what we started with, all the costumes being. I wanted them to sort of tie together, but almost be like different sides of Barbara, male, female, you know, however. And then she's got a very sort of contemporary feel to her costumes as well. So she's kind of brought that made it feel quite, I guess, has elements of fashion as well to it, because Barbara as well was quite fashionable and very like iconic image.
And there's one picture that I know that she's with Brel together. Well, it's
cool.
There's actually, I think it's on the website or on the program. Yeah, there is one where they look at where they were together. I think even there's a film existing that they made together, which is quite interesting that they actually also know each other.
Yeah.
So,
whenever I was like listening to her music on Spotify, you know, and like Spotify gives you next suggestions, it would always go on to Brel. I'd be listening to like Barbara, and it'd be like Brel. Yeah.
So kind of that's why it's very good.
Yeah.
And the costumes for Cantata, they're.
It's Helena Medeiros, so she's a painter, and. So the idea of the costumes was more, it's around after the Second World War, these early 50s, late 40s, and the piece is really about the men. Of course, they dance a lot, but it's really a piece, a women piece. And
also, I can say the hair is a part of the costume.
Yes.
Very essential.
And it was this idea of, so the women are very, very present in the ballet, in a way that. Strong, very strong women. So this is after the war. Before, probably women would stay home, taking care of children and perhaps working a little bit on the fields. And after the war, with the industry, so they they work in a factory, they still did the fields, and then they go home and they feed and educate children. So it's women really, not weak, strong women that, you know, it was...
Change of society.
Yeah. And yes, so the costumes reflects a little bit these not fancy but a little bit, you know, like...
They also look more, for me, like daily clothes than a costume, you know?
Yes.
Like, so I think it's more stylized costume thing. Yeah. And they're also stylized because they're black and white. You took them in one color and...
These, yes, it's these earth kind of colors and from that time.
No, I'm really, really happy. I think that will be an exciting evening. And thank you very much for chatting with me and talking about this evening, this soirée, because also I think you didn't know each other before, you didn't know the pieces before. We have 2 casts, we have 2 or 3 ballet masters with Ruslan that's helping us, so it's also important that we always have people. Your daughter was teaching, your wife was here. I mean, we had like the whole family.
Yes, family also.
And it was...
And Marie did a good job, I must say, very good.
But she also danced it, no?
Yeah,
and you created it on your wife, and your daughter danced
correct,
it,
yeah.
And
now,
also
now it stops.
And also your nephew was in it.
Yeah, Lars
was in it. Like the whole van Cauwenberghs.
Fantastic. And Tom did, my brother did Vieux Amants in Amsterdam.
Yeah. So there's a whole story. So yeah, it was very nice. So thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Et à partir de 7 mars au Halogrin, Chansons dansées avec le Ballet national du Capitole.